Okay, we're back with part 3. I want to dovetail off of what we were talking about a little bit with Peter Gunz and his situation. He said that he wanted to go and go away with we're saying Tara, the baby's mother, to figure out where her head was at. I mean, that was a lie because I think he wanted to see if she still wanted him. But he kind of used the excuse, like, he didn't call it closure because that's like a girl's word. But he pretty much was saying, like, he wanted to know where he stood with her so he could figure out how he could move on with Amina.
Which,
like,
it's so morbid. It's so, like...
It was very rude. Like, and then I saw the clip.
You don't know by now where you are? That shit... Yeah.
But the worst part, though, is I saw the clip for next week, and Amina's in the hospital. Like, she's going into labor. So she's in the hospital, and he tells her that he spoke to Tara. He didn't admit that he saw her, but he tells her that he spoke to her, and he's like, I just needed to figure out, what was going on between us, and, and I mean, but, like, I choose you. It was so mean. Like, this woman is in labor, and this is when you decide to bring up your baby's mother to her?
He's not right in the head.
He's not. And, like, her thing, and even as simple-minded as she is sometimes, I like the fact that she was like, wait. She's like, you're choosing me by default, basically. Like, you're saying she didn't want you, so now you're all in with me.
Right.
Like, I mean, that was so hurtful. He just picked the worst time. But we'll see that next week. But anyway, so closure was what he, I guess, allegedly was looking for. But I feel a lot of women use that closure excuse as an excuse to hold on, or to a reason to go back, a reason to ask questions. Like, men don't need closure. I don't feel like they do. Like, when it's over, it's over.
Closure about when if something's ended, it's ended. I don't understand why it's the drama of it all.
Yeah,
It's just like It's just like a woman keeping in touch with her ex, and like not in a sense of like I have my ex that will either wish me a happy birthday because he knows my birthday around but in a sense of I'm speaking to him every day or every week or once a week and shit like that. It's ridiculous that these women that have these relationships with these men that they once used to sleep with and they broke up with for a reason, and they still have this kind of bond.
So you think that closure, is there any instance where you think that closure is needed, or you think it's just like smoke and mirrors for I'm not over you?
Not in a relationship, unless it's an abusive relationship and you were married to the person or been in a really long relationship with somebody, and there is some damaging effect in terms of emotionally or physically that you need to get out. And that you can either do through a therapist if need be, unless you feel like you didn't say something that you should have said. Like, if I did something really horrible to the person, or the person did something really horrible to me, and I need to be like, look, you were really messed up when you didn't left me on the street corner waiting for you. Whatever it is that I felt like I needed to assert myself. Yeah. Or I needed to apologize. Yeah. I need to go back to that person and be like, look, I don't know if this still means anything to you, but I apologize for taking you through that. Yeah. Other than that, if the relationship is finished, there's no other closure unless I'm closing with my mother, my father, my grandmother, like some deep family shit. Yeah. Other than that, the relationship is finished, the relationship is finished. And do you think that one conversation can provide closure? No. Okay. These relationship closure is another way of holding on to that person and probably making them feel more guilty, or having them look at, like, especially to the ones that if I look good or I'm in a different place now, so I need you to know. Yeah. Now I'm over you. See me so you can, like, regret everything that you've done. Yeah. For what? Like, if I run into you, I want to look good. Yeah. You look at me, but I'm not going to go seek you out to look good and be like, I need to talk to you so you can sit across the table from me and look at me and look, she's looking good, and feel guilty the fact that you cheated on me. Everybody cheats. Because my thing too is, like, if you have to see me in order to feel bad about how we ended, or to feel like, oh wow, I miss her, then you really don't miss me. No. And I'm getting you, and then if I'm getting you to apologize for something, it's stupid. Yeah. Because, like you said, if you wanted to apologize, you would have started me out. If I need to apologize because I feel like it's bothered me all these years, because maybe you felt I didn't love you, or I said some real backhanded shit to you, then I'm going to seek you out because I'm doing the apologizing. Yeah. If you did it to me, I don't see, if you run into me, then that's your opportunity. I've had ex-boyfriends that, it kind of like, what they said to me, I kind of remembered it, but I didn't need the closure. But when I ran into them, they felt like they needed to say something to me. And it felt good that they remembered and like, look, I know I fucked up.
Yeah.
When I want to say I'm sorry, that feels good, but I'm not going to seek you out for that.
Yeah.
But I'm a different kind of girl. When I'm done with you, it's done.
Yeah.
I don't need those kind of like validation.
Yeah.
Segue into your validation.
Oh yeah, validation is huge, but I want to save that to the end because that's going to be like a whole segment discussion, I think, or at least I believe it will be.
Right.
Yeah, no,
closure. I do not believe in closure.
Oh, she's like, just wanted to let you know, closure.
It's an excuse to keep that person lingering in your life.
Yeah, I think it's an excuse. I think it's something women made up that only other women understand. That women will give. Yeah. You need closure. You need that. I'll say I had an ex-boyfriend apologize to me like some 15 years after we had dealt with each other, and But at that point, it didn't matter. Like, not say it didn't matter, but what he had done. It didn't matter. I wasn't holding it. It was like unfortunate at the time. My feelings were hurt, but I grew out of that. I got over it. I guess I kind of forgave him. I never really gave it conscious thought, but I didn't hate him. I didn't dislike him. Like if I had seen him, then I would have been like, hey, it's all love. You know what I'm saying? And I probably wouldn't even remembered all the details of it. And proof of that is that I think like he emailed me or Facebooked me or whatever, and the fact that I accepted it or replied was like proof that I wasn't mad anymore.
Right.
But his apology meant something to me.
Of course.
I have to say, I felt, because I think it was coming from a genuine place of apology. He was a grown man now. He looked at, he had time to look at the situation. He realized that he was wrong. So although it wasn't like I needed it to sleep at night, it felt good because, it just feels good to know that somebody, acknowledges what they may have done or they did or whatever. But I think women use that as an excuse. Like, and if you need that in order to move on with your life, then there's something wrong, because
that's sad.
You're not going to get apologies from most people who do you wrong.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen because A, some people won't even know they did it. B, will do it and they don't care. Or C, they just don't think it warrants an apology, or they may feel like, you played your part or whatever it is. So you're not going to get it. And I think that's the thing. And I know even from your family, I mean, look at people whose families have hurt them, mothers have hurt them, have done things. And some people are set in their ways. I was actually watching Iyanla Fix My Life or whatever. And she had this chick, she's been R&B divas, Celine somebody from like the 90s. I can't remember her last name. But she had a messed up relationship with her mother and her father, actually. And she wanted her father to apologize. And he wouldn't. He wouldn't acknowledge that he had done anything wrong. He was old school. He came from the world where I put clothes on your back. I fed you. I did my job as a father. All this other shit, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And she needed it. She was crying and she was upset and she felt like, it messed up her relationships with men and she couldn't move on. And the sad thing was that, Iyanla put them in the same room. And she was pretty much like, here's your opportunity. Your daughter wants to hear you say X, Y, and Z. And he kind of had a blank stare, like, I apologize for what? Like, I don't even know what I did. Like, I don't, like, she's being a baby or whatever. And she started crying, and I felt bad for her. But like Iyanla said, sometimes you have to meet people where they are, and sometimes you have to leave them there. And
my thing is,
he's in that place. That man is grown. He's in his 70s. He's set in his ways. He's not going to apologize. So you cannot hinge the rest of your life on an apology from somebody else.
And at some point, you have to be emotionally mature to know that you're also holding on to something is allowing it to start whatever. Yeah, I can't continue, especially if you know your parent and you know some people and you know some people are not apologetic type. Yeah. So for me to hold on to something is stunting my growth in moving on and finding a good man.
Yeah.
Or finding, you know what I mean? I'm holding myself back from that.
Yeah.
Because I know deep down, if I know my father or I know whomever it is that did me wrong is not capable of doing that, then I can wait all my life.
It's never going to happen.
Throw myself into a fucked up relationship just because I'm waiting for you to acknowledge what you've done to me. It's just not mature. A lot of people aren't emotionally mature.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Function and go forward without getting, I'm going to get really personal with somebody else's life. My mom, I think, and the more I think about it, is her and my cousin Heather is such a good role model. They're very introverted in the sense of they're very private people.
Yeah.
They give really great advice. My mother went through a lot with my father, my oldest brother's father, who she was not in a relationship with. You know what that is. And she doesn't talk about it. I'm sure that's something that's huge, something that you would need closure from.
Yeah.
But she knew the kind of man he was. She didn't know him in any way, and she probably ran into him a couple other times after the incident had happened. Mm-hmm. But she was able to find a good man and get married and have kids, and she's still living her life. Yeah. And I feel like whatever she did to get over that or get past that, to me, is an emotionally mature person.
It is.
Because she did not let that affect. I would have never known that happened to her had my grandmother not said anything.
Yeah.
And so I lived my entire life, and she was loving and never, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm, and that's courageous to me.
That's big.
We have so many women, not to say that you can, you can. There's some people that, I'm not saying you shouldn't let that affect you, but there are also different ways to handle a lot of tragic things in your life. Of course. And a relationship based on that and some flippant relationship that's might cheat on you, come on. Yeah. You got to put things in perspective sometimes and be like, all right, am I holding myself back?
Well, I think some people use it as an excuse, and it's easy. It's easy to stay where you are, to be stagnant. Yeah. That's the easy thing. The hard thing is to get up off your ass and make moves and to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And people don't want to do that. And I mean, just the same thing, like, not to say too much, but my brother and my father don't have a great relationship. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is my fault. My brother is very resentful of things that happened in childhood. I mean, nothing traumatic. My father was there, but he just wasn't the kind of father my brother wanted or needed. Right. And he's waiting for an apology. And I keep trying to tell him it's not going to happen. No. My father does not think he was a bad father. He believes, and this is also, you have to take, like Iyanla said, you got to meet people where they are. If you go back in time, the goal is that every parent is better than their parents were.
Right.
That's the goal.
They kept you fed and a roof over your head?
Yeah. Like, my father had no relationship with his biological father. He was around, but he wasn't around. My grandmother's husband, so my father's stepfather, stepped in and was a father to him. Right. But his own father, whom lived in the neighborhood, didn't really acknowledge him, never really was around, never did shit for him. So for my father's formative years, he didn't have a male figure. Like, he had his older brother who was like 2 years older than him. So that's not really a male figure. And my father was fortunate enough that he had sports and stuff like that, so he can learn those man things and have that stuff. But he didn't have it. So when he became a father, in his head, the fact that I'm here with my kids in the same house and I'm doing shit, I'm leaps ahead of where my father was.
Yep. And that was enough.
And that's him in his head. Like, I'm done. If I was to even just be half the man my father was, you guys wouldn't even see me. Right. So in his head, he was being a great father.
He was at his top.
He was doing the best he could with what he had.
Right.
But my brothers, but my brother, I guess maybe was looking at other fathers and his peers' fathers and were like, well, why couldn't you do what they did? But you have to understand where my father came from. And I'm not saying that he did not make mistakes and that some of my brother's beefs are not valid. But I think you have to take people and look at them in totality. And this is something you can only do, I think, as an adult. As a teenager, you don't have that perspective. But you got to look at them as a whole person. They're going to make mistakes. They're not perfect. They may have made mistakes, and that they may have fucked you up in some ways. But you can't wait for that. And like I told my brother, even if my father came to you today and said, you know what, I'm sorry, what difference is that going to make in your day-to-day life?
Yeah.
And the
thing about it is, too, it's okay to be emotional about certain things, but also you have to put facts as well.
Yeah.
You have to also lead your life, like you said, Iyanla said, meet people where they are. Yeah. The facts are the facts. So as harsh as they may be, his facts and his thing is where he came from and what he was, what his capability of and his definition of being a father was, and that stopped there. Maybe your definition is different or your expectation was different. And it's fine to be emotional about it, but at some point in your life, you have to take the emotion and look at it for facts and be like, okay, I'm going to appreciate it for what he's done and what he did, and whatever I lacked, I got to move on. And
Yeah, and Dr. Phil said it. Sometimes you have to give yourself what your parents didn't. Right. And that's not easy. And it's definitely not easy as a child or as a teenager, but you do. And I mean, we all have areas where we look at our parents like, yeah, you could have done this better, you could have done that better. And I have my moments where like, my mom could have done this, she should have done that, she should have. Yeah. But I have to give myself what she didn't. And I have to find ways to be my own cheerleader, to tell myself the things that she didn't tell me, or find people who will do those things for me. Yep. Who will tell me the shit that I need to hear, or who will be filling those gaps, so to speak.
Right.
But that takes a certain maturity. And I'm not saying that I'm the most mature person out here, because I'm a work in progress. But, that's where therapy is a good thing, where, you got to talk these things out. You may not be able to talk it out with the person who hurt you, but you got to talk it out with somebody.
Yeah, and they can give you handy tools to move past it. Like I said, there's a lot of things that I felt like my parents didn't do, and I'm probably not as courageous as I want, but now I have to give myself that. I have to be courageous in different ways.
Yeah.
Push myself, like you said, on my own, because my parents aren't, they're very like, well, what if this happened, and back up this, and there's a lot of things in my career-wise that had I not had a backup plan, I probably would have blazed through it a little bit more fearlessly, but I had those parents always kind of like, you gotta count, like always have to have a safe little nest and things, and and those are warranted, but sometimes those things hold you back.
They do.
And so those things I wish they didn't do, but there's nothing you can do about that. You now have to, like you said, do the things that they...
Do the best you can with what you have. Yeah. And I know that I've learned, the things I learned from my parents is not only the things that they taught me, but what they did not teach me. And I know when I have children that I'm going to teach them the shit that, I wish my parents had taught me. And I'll be a better parent than they were. And then my kids will learn from my mistakes and be a better parent than I was. I mean, that's the only thing you can do at a certain stage in your life. But I had posted on Facebook a while ago something about letting go, and how letting go sometimes is the bravest thing you can do. But sometimes it's perceived as being weak, as being a punk, as letting people get over. Or if I let this go, he got over on me, she got over on me. No, it takes, like, because they say, if either you let go or you be dragged. If you do not let go,
that was your thing.
Somebody will drag you, or something will drag you. And it'll be your resentment. It will be whatever. Like, you have to just let the shit go. It's not easy, but you got to make a decision to let it go. Yeah. Or else it's going to hound you for the rest of your life. And I've seen firsthand people who are unable to let things go, and how it just hinders them for all of their life.
Every turn, because they make it about that all the time.
Yeah.
They make whatever they're not doing about that one thing.
Yeah.
And if they had let that one thing go or resolved in it, then they probably wouldn't. But they, like you said, every turn they make, that thing is they're roadblock. Almost as if you have this log in the back of you, and every time you go through a small little inch of somewhere, it's like it's preventing you from going all the way through, because you still got it on the back of your leg.
Yeah. It's baggage. It's like you're a bag lady, like Erykah Badu said. I heard Diane Carroll say that I think her mother was not in her life. She was raised by her grandmother, her aunt, or something like that. But her mom wasn't there. And she said that she carried that for years and years and years. And it wasn't until she was like 60 that she was just like, I got to let this shit go. She's like, it's so convenient for me to use this as an excuse. That's what it is. I'm being lazy and I'm using it as an excuse. It just makes it so easy for me to not accomplish shit. Well, my mother wasn't there. My mother wasn't there. My mother wasn't there. And she's like, she had to, even as a woman in her 60s, had to let this shit go.
Even in her 60s, she let it go.
Yeah.
Her. It doesn't matter when you do it, but you need to do it.
Yeah. It's short.
Life will be a lot better. It
makes such a difference. And I mean, it's not easy, and I'm not saying it's easy in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I'm still working on things, but like, you got it. The first step is to make a decision to let it go.
And acknowledge that you need to do it, and then find ways of
actually doing it.
Not letting it stop you.
And if you can't do it on your own, then that's when you have to enlist the help of a professional, or somebody can, like you said, will help you get the tools you need to baby steps to get you there. I think there's a lot of it is just perspective. It's just really shifting your perspective on things and just letting you look at things from a different angle. And that's really all it is. Like, what's really going to change if I hold on to this? What's not going to change?
Right.
But anywho, so I'm going to stop here. We're going to come back, and I know you want to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. So we're kind of going in from like, we're going deep to ratchet to deep to ratchet.
And we're going back and forth.
Yes.
Making it interesting.
Exactly. Keep the folks interested. So we're going to stop here. We can come back and talk about Real Housewives.